You're standing somewhere most people will never allow themselves to stand. There's a frequency humming beneath your skin right now that has nothing to do with excitement or fear. It's recognition. Your system knows something is about to break open, even if your mind keeps trying to logic its way around it. The air feels different lately, doesn't it? Like the pressure changed, but nobody else noticed. What's happening to you right now requires a type of strength most people don't even know exists. We're raised to build resumes, accumulate credentials, follow blueprints designed by people who lived completely different lives. But something inside you has started rejecting that entire framework. Not because you're failing at it, but because succeeding at it has started to feel like betraying yourself at a fundamental level. Your internal compass has been shifting for longer than you've been willing to admit. All those moments where you felt detached during conversations that used to engage you. All those achievements that produced emptiness instead of satisfaction. All those nights staring at the ceiling wondering why nothing feels right anymore, even though everything looks fine from the outside. That wasn't depression. That wasn't ingratitude. That was your system recognizing it has outgrown its current operating conditions. Most people hit this point and immediately assume something is broken. They double down on what's familiar. They manufacture enthusiasm for things that have gone dead inside them. They spend years convincing themselves they're the problem instead of recognizing their container has become too small. Some people spend entire lifetimes trying to fold themselves back into shapes they've already grown beyond. But you're reading this because part of you already understands that the discomfort is information, the restlessness is intelligence trying to surface. Here's what makes this moment so rare. You're not just thinking about transformation. You're actually suspended in that terrifying space between identities where the old version has started dissolving, but the new one hasn't solidified yet. Do you understand how few people can tolerate this? Being undefined? Having no clean answer when someone asks what you're building toward. Society has engineered specific words for people in this liminal space, and none of them are designed to make you feel good about being here. Lost, confused, irresponsible. These labels exist specifically to shame people back into recognizable categories. But here's what those labels actually describe. Someone brave enough to release their grip on a known identity before they can see what's forming to replace it. That requires faith in something most people can't access. The ability to step into complete uncertainty without guarantees and trust you'll land somewhere real. Think about metamorphosis for a second. Inside that cocoon, there's total breakdown happening. Complete dissolution of structure. If you could interview the caterpillar mid-process, it wouldn't have coherent answers. There's no consciousness that understands it's becoming something with wings. There's just chaos, liquefaction, the complete annihilation of what was. The caterpillar doesn't get a preview. It just surrenders to its own unraveling. That's where you are right now, in the cocoon. And everyone outside is asking why you're not being productive, why you can't just function normally, why you're making everything so complicated. They don't understand you're not hiding. You're liquefying and reconstituting. You're in the middle of something that looks like nothing from their perspective, but feels like everything from yours. If you're resonating with this, I want to ask something. Please subscribe to this channel. I create content for people navigating exactly this threshold where everything is dissolving but nothing has reformed yet. Your subscription helps me continue making these messages, and it means you'll have this space when you need these reminders. Thank you. Now let's go deeper. The rarest part of what you're doing isn't the transformation itself. Circumstances force people to change constantly. The rare part is choosing to dismantle a life that's working before it completely breaks you. Choosing to release the decent job, the acceptable relationship, the fine circumstances because something deeper knows there's more alignment possible. You're not chasing better. You're chasing true. You're about to discover something that will fundamentally rewire how you navigate reality. But before we get there, You need to understand why this moment is so fragile. Why most people standing exactly where you're standing will, within days, talk themselves back into their previous patterns. Why the gravitational pull toward the familiar is about to become almost unbearable. Because here's what nobody mentions about transformation. The hardest part isn't the leap. It's the seconds right before, when every logical reason to stay exactly where you are starts screaming at maximum volume. That voice in your head cataloging every risk, every responsibility, every reason this is dangerous. It's not trying to protect you. It's trying to protect itself. That voice is the old version of you making one final attempt to survive, and it knows exactly which fears to weaponize. It'll remind you about security, about what you'll lose, about past failures as evidence you can't trust yourself. It'll make you feel selfish for wanting something different, guilty for being dissatisfied with what you have. This voice is devastatingly convincing because it sounds exactly like you. It is you, just an outdated version clinging to relevance. But here's the tell. That voice never calculates what staying costs. It only amplifies the risk of leaving. It spotlights the uncertainty ahead while completely ignoring the slow death of remaining where you no longer fit. It's selling you your own stagnation repackaged as stability. The moment you see this pattern clearly, something shifts. You realize every seemingly rational argument for staying is just fear wearing professional clothing. The concerns are real, but they're not the complete picture. They're one data point being amplified to drown out everything else you know. What you're experiencing is an indecision. You've already decided. The part of you that's evolving made that choice weeks or months ago. What you're experiencing is lag time between the decision your deeper self already made and your conscious mind catching up. That's why everything feels disorienting. Your compass has already turned, but you're still trying to read it with the old map. People who successfully navigate this do one thing differently. They stop trying to figure out the entire path before moving. They recognize clarity doesn't come from more analysis. It comes from taking one small step and letting that reveal the next one. You're not supposed to see the whole staircase, just the next step. What is that step for you? Not the dramatic gesture, not burning everything down tomorrow. What's the smallest movement toward honoring what's emerging? Maybe it's saying no to something you would have automatically agreed to last month. Maybe it's finally having a conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's spending 1 hour on something that calls to you even though it seems impractical. These small movements create momentum. They signal to your system that you're listening, that you're willing to trust this process. And your system responds by revealing the next piece, the next feeling, the next breadcrumb. Here's what happens when you start following those breadcrumbs. Things and people matching your old frequency begin falling away without force. That obligation draining you, that friend you've been meaning to call back, they dissolve naturally because they can't exist in your new energetic space. Simultaneously, new synchronicities start appearing. The book that arrives at the perfect moment. The conversation that answers a question you never spoke aloud. The opportunity that materializes from nowhere. These aren't coincidences. They're always present. You're finally tuned to notice them. The person you're becoming doesn't need permission from who you used to be. They don't need a 5-year plan or success guarantees. They just need you to stop blocking their emergence with logic that no longer applies. Before we close, if this has landed deep, please subscribe. I make this content for people exactly where you are, and I'd be honored to continue this with you. Thank you for being here. This moment is what everyone who's ever transformed had to move through. The uncertainty, the fear, the complete absence of safety nets. And they all discovered the same thing afterward. The safety net was never real anyway. The security you thought you had was always just a story. The only real security comes from trusting you can handle whatever emerges. When you finally stop forcing yourself to be someone you've outgrown, you already know what happens next. Not the whole path, just the immediate next true thing. That knowing is quiet but persistent. It doesn't shout over your fears. It waits beneath them, patient and certain. The question isn't whether you should trust it. The question is how much longer you're going to pretend you have a choice. Because the person you're becoming is already here, waiting for you to stop negotiating with a version of yourself that no longer exists.